listening to the Money Monopolizers podcast, helping you take control of your financial destiny. It's about time that we invest more in our financial literacy and work towards building generational wealth. If you think you're ready to do the same, then you've come to the right place. Alex, Marlon, y'all ready? Let's get this bread.
What's good, everybody? It's Alex Kamuni here, and we're back with episode 62 of the Money Monopolizers podcast. And I'm here with my co-host, Marlon Walls. Marlon, how you doing today, bro?
Doing pretty good, bro.
How's the house hack?
I don't even want to talk about it. Actually, no. I went to go see another house earlier this week, too. And what happened with this one? This house was probably like built in 1960s. It's actually right by my dad's job. And the problem with that, it was just really old. So, like, I could have probably offered it on it and got it. But it wasn't worth it though, because they had foundational issues as well. Price right, but everything else, like it was be like a big project, and it just wasn't in the best area. So same thing as always, but stuff ain't coming up fast enough for me to even like have much to say on it.
For those that don't know, Marlon is trying to find his house hack for the last 3 months.
No, 6 months. I swear it's been 6. No, actually no, since July. Since July, I've been looking for this thing, bro.
Yeah, man. When
are you getting your next one?
I'm trying to get it in January, February at the latest. So
I think it's gonna be very sad if this dude end up getting another one before me. But I can see it happening. At the rate that Houston's going right now, he gonna look on the market for like 2 days, and then be like, "Hey, I just found one, bro. This is perfect. I'm closing on it in about a month."
Yeah, no, I'm not going to tell you.
I can see it happening though. It's crazy, but I think once the new year comes, I think coming out, I don't know, but and just being patient, because whatever's for me is gonna be for me.
Yeah, for sure. Might have to leave Houston,
get a new job and everything, just for sake of house hacking.
Hey, that's for me. Just real quick, we closed we went under contract on another flip here in San Antonio. It's going to be our biggest rehab project today. Is literally like a $90,000 rehab, $85,000 purchase, $90,000 rehab, about 250, 260 ARV. So, man, I'm excited for it though, because it's gonna be, it's an opportunity to really get out of your comfort zone. When I first saw it, I was like, ooh, I don't know. That reminds me of old boy that kind of last year. So I don't want to experience that again. But that's what you got to do to grow. You got to get into things that are uncomfortable. We can't just keep doing these advanced cosmetic flips. That's like, oh yeah, bread and butter every time. Now we got to, step out your comfort zone. That's the only way to grow and develop. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, that's moving along. We should be closing on that this week, actually. So trying to get the private money lined up for that. So that's like a $30,000 private money. And so once that wire goes through, we should be closing on that. We got the, apartments that are, we're picking up the ball on that. We're rolling on that. So that's going to be really exciting, really fun to get into. Hopefully within the goal is, honestly, my goal is to get our first apartment deal in 90 days from the time that we start. So going under contract on an apartment complex in 90 days we'll probably start from December. I'm trying to think, is that anything else? Yeah. Oh yeah. Of course, we're raising capital for that. So if anyone's interested in being a private investor for this deal, then, we can definitely hit us up, and we can definitely, see what we can do. We'll send you a sample deal package. We can talk more about it. Yeah. If you're interested, hit us up on, DM us, email us, info@moneymonopolizers.com. And we could see what's up with it.
What I've noticed about us is that every year we're always like getting into something new. So like when we first started, we were always talking about like real estate investing, but we were primarily talking about like house flipping and buying single families or small multifamily rental properties. And then the following year, we start looking more into businesses. It's trying like to build different streams of income. And I think next year we're looking to get more into like apartment investing and building, just trying to always scale. One thing we're seeing is that we're always trying to take a step further to get out of our comfort zone, because I think what we've learned learned over the past few years is that the comfort zone is usually like the enemy of our success. And so by always trying to take that step outside of what we're used to, even though like we're used to flipping now, like that's a normal, like the cosmetic flips you were talking about, we're used to doing that. That's like that's our new comfort zone. But now we have to take another step further and for one, learn from the mistakes that we made before, because we did a similar rehab type of deal. But the problem was that I think the margins were just too low. So now we learn from that, and now we can still take on that type of project, but now we know that we need to have better margins in order to accommodate for the larger rehab. And so just learning little things along the way, we learn how to accommodate for being outside of our comfort zone and just continue to scale. So I think that's one thing that I commend both of us for doing, just that we're able to learn and grow and continuously stay outside of that comfort zone in order to grow without bound pretty much. So it's really been a good experience for both of us, I think.
Nah, for sure. I'm glad you mentioned that too. One thing I will say with that too is that, especially as a man too, that, you know, a lot of people they don't like to live to the edge. They don't like to live on the edge of that comfort zone, right? Because, you know, if you think about that comfort zone, it's like a circle. And my goal is always to be on the edge of that circle, just outside of that circle, right? Not too far out of it, but just outside of that, right? And so they're always leaning on the edge of that. And as a man, I think that's what all men should be doing. No matter what stage you're at, you need to be leaning outside that comfort zone so that you don't get complacent, and so that you're always continuing to level up. As a man, you should always have a mission and a purpose. You should always have something that you are looking to advance to, and always have a vision for, you know, the next stage or the next step. And that's kind of, I think, a good segue into kind of what we're talking about today, in regards to this episode. So, you know, with this episode, this was actually inspired by a book and a podcast that I actually listened to. I don't know if y'all know about the Roommates, but I talk about them a couple times on here. But they are big on a development for young men, right? And making sure men are being the best version of themselves. And one thing they talk about a lot is being on a mission and being on your purpose. And for me, every time they talk about that, I've known my mission, I've known my purpose for the last, we can say, since I was 21, right? So the last 3, well, I mean, even before, it's changed. I've always had it, but it's changed along the way, right? And so when I was 21, it's like, yo, financial freedom. And that's how this podcast was inspired, right? It's financial freedom based. And so everyone that is listening to this, I assume you aspire to be financially free. So that is your purpose and your mission in life at this stage in life, right? Is to be financially free. And for me, and I know for Marlon as well, that is also our mission and our purpose is for financial freedom. And so that's what we're always working towards. And it's huge because this is like a kind of a pinnacle step in life. Like once you achieve that, you get there and it's like, okay, I've done that. And then you move on from there. But it's kind of like one of those stepping stones. So you always have, like I say, you always have a purpose and a mission that you're on. No matter what stage you are, no matter how many goals you achieve, there's always something next. And as a man, that's how it should be. What I want to talk about is kind of navigating young adulthood, or navigating those years between the ages of 18 to 25, we could say 26 to achieve financial freedom, right? And you can apply this to however old you are listening to this. You know, you can apply this to that. I'm just using these ages because obviously that's, you know, kind of the age group that we're in, and also a lot of our listeners are in that age group. But if you are older, this applies. These same things apply, right? But you might just have to look at some things differently because you might already have some certain relationships or some certain type of debt or some certain type of income. So it's going to apply differently. But when you're younger, what we're going to talk about is going to be very applicable to you because you haven't necessarily experienced these things yet, if that makes sense. And so, you know, with all that being said, the first thing that I wanted to talk about kind of was between those ages of 18 to 26, especially for young men. This is applicable for women, but it's different, and I'll get into it in a minute. But between those ages, you really have to know what you need to figure out what your mission and your purpose is. That needs to be your focus, right? You need to figure out what it is you want to achieve in life and align every other aspect of your life to fit that mission and that purpose. Meaning your friends, your intimate relationships, your finances, everything. All of that needs to correlate into what you want your life to look like, right? All that needs to adapt to that mission and that purpose. I wanted to kind of start with the relationship aspect of it. Navigating your relationships in order to achieve financial freedom, right? And how do they need to look? Because I think this is something a lot of people don't think about, and when they don't talk about. So I want to start it off with kind of like that friend circle, right? In your closest friends, or even your acquaintances and the people around you, right? The people you associated with on a daily basis. I think a lot of people don't necessarily realize the importance that your associations and your friends play on your life, right? Who those people are going to have a drastic impact on, the outcome of your life and whether or not you achieve that mission or your purpose. Right. And by the way, your mission or your purpose doesn't have to be financial freedom. If you love your job, if you enjoy your job, then, you need to figure out what your purpose needs to be. It could even be increasing your income at your job, whatever. I don't know why you would want to do that, but whatever it is. But like I said, this is financial freedom. So I want to talk about it in that regard. So yeah, like I said, one thing about, and obviously we've heard it all, we hear it all the time in terms of your friend circle. You're the average of the 5 people you hang around with the most. It's like common knowledge, but a lot of people don't realize it, right? And I remember Dr. Frazier, who's someone I listen to a lot on YouTube. He's like that whole he does a lot of stuff with talking in regards to financial freedom, and I remember one of his videos he talked about the fact that if you want to change your life, you have to change your relationships. He used the analogy of there's a system for everything. Even when you think about it in school, there's a system to make C's in school and there's a system to make A's in school. Obviously, me and Marlon, we followed the system in school to make A's, right? The system we did, it was discipline, consistency, you study, blah, blah, blah. You do things you don't want to do and you make A's. If you want to make C's, you just do the bare minimum. That's the system you follow to make C's. And in that same way, there's a system to make $50,000 a year, and there's a system to make $100,000 a year. There's a system to make $1 million a year. I think everyone needs to look at someone that is in a position they want to be and trying to emulate or copy their system, right? So if I want to be financially free, which is obviously my goal, I'm looking at people that preach financial freedom and are financially free to see what systems they follow every day, right? How are they managing their money? What are they doing with their money? How many streams of income do they have? How do they outsource their time? What are the things they're doing in order to, make it so that they will achieve financial freedom? And, the people around you, more than likely, most of the people in your immediate circle make about the same amount of money as you, right? Generally speak, give or take a few $1,000s, whatever. But generally speaking, they make around the same amount of money because that's the class. Everyone likes to put themselves in classes. I say all that to say is your associations need to include people that have more money than you if your mission is financial freedom, right? Because you can copy their systems and emulate their systems. If I want to be making $100,000 a month, I need to see what these people are doing. And I know what they're doing. They have multiple streams of income. I know for me, that's something I have to do. I need to have multiple streams of income. I look at what these people are doing and I implement it into my life, right? So that's kind of what I think people need to be doing, at least in how they're approaching their immediate circle. That's what you need to be looking at first.
I'm in much agreement with what you're saying, and I actually thought about the same thing when you mentioned relationships. Like, first thing you always think about is like you're the average of the 5 people you hang around the most. Now I want to make a point that I don't even think that the 5 people you quote unquote hang around the most need to even be in your, like, you need to be physically there with you in a way. I'm saying that to say, because of social media and everything that we have available to us today, you were actually already hit on the point that I was going to make, is that you can follow the people that you want to be, quote unquote, in your circle, because you don't necessarily have to have the friends, but you can have somebody that you look up to be that person you consider in your circle. Because if we look at ourselves, for instance, we converse with each other a lot, but there's not necessarily everybody in our like immediate circle back in like from high school or college that are doing what we're doing. So what we do instead is find people that we can bring on the podcast, people that we can follow that are doing what we want to do, build relationships with them. And like, you can choose to build a relationship with them, or you can just look up to them and try to emulate them, like you were saying. I think that's one thing that people need to realize, is something that you can use to your advantage in order to like elevate yourself, which as far as your friend circle, sort of say.
Yeah.
Because I think that is like one of the ways, like, to just start elevating yourself to just to the level that you want to be at. Because just because everybody around you, like in your actual environment, is doing one thing, doesn't mean that automatically has to be the same way for you as well. And I thought about a post that I put out like a couple weeks ago talking about like moving from your hometown, because I think that's also one thing that puts a cap on like what people can achieve in life. Because I think about ourselves as an example all the time. If our parents hadn't moved from their environments that they were growing up in, I think that our lives would have been so much different. Because I look at the friends that I had back in Detroit, not to say anything is wrong with them, but they're not on this path. So just by being willing to get out of your comfort zone, like we mentioned earlier, and surround yourself in a different environment with different people, I think that automatically raises up that allows you to gain different perspectives, which can allow you to either grow more, or just depending on who you decide to surround yourself with in that new environment. I think that's also pretty critical, because you remove your old distractions and you allow your new environment to influence you in other ways. I think it's up to you on how you decide on how you let it influence you, though, because now you have like pretty much a fresh start to choose what you want to be like. And I think that's one thing that I'm really grateful for that my parents did, because I always say that I would have been in one of three things had I stayed in Detroit. Either I could have been an artist, I could have been a bum, or I could have been in jail. So it was one of them three. That's what, based off the people that I hung around back then, that's what I would have been like. And yeah, I'm grateful that I came here, because it would have been a very different story.
Yeah, I think that's a huge point. And like you said too in that post, leaving your hometown is a cheat code to actually leveling up, because it's going to force you to have new acquaintances, new surroundings, and new people that are going to be, it's going to change your context, right? And so you're only as good as the context that you have. So you can't level up if your context only knows what you grew up with. You have to get exposed to something new. And that's why I'm glad you mentioned social media too. And this is the last thing I want to say before we kind of go to the next point, is that social media to me is even more powerful than the in-person interactions, in the in-person relationships that you have, because not in terms of the social aspect, but in terms of the context, like I said, because most of the people that are in your immediate circle, if you go to their, not even that, most of the people you grew up with, most of the people that, let's say you want to achieve financial freedom, obviously, you're new to the journey. Most of your friends are not going to be financially free. So you go to their social medias, you go to their, and let's be real. We see people on social media more than we see people in real life, right? You form relationships with people through technology today. We form relationships by listening to podcasts, watching videos, and following people on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, right? Because you see those posts and you begun to start to anticipate it, and you already know what to expect when you see those people, right? You know the kind of content that they put out. And so when you go to Instagram and you see what your friends are putting out on Instagram, it's something that you already know, kind of the context that they have and the person that they are. So they're not exposing you to anything new, right? And so you're continuing to get exposed to the same thing. But when you follow new people and you see those new things on your timeline, like literally when we created Money Monopolizers, that's why all these businesses that, for me, all the streams of income I have are because of creating Money Monopolizers, literally because of Instagram and Money Monopolizers. You know why? Because when we created it, literally, I was saying before this, I was like, man, it's all about real estate. That's it. Real estate is all that matters.
I was just going to say the same thing because you made me think about it when you start talking about social media and who you follow. The more people that we follow that are doing things that are helping them achieve financial freedom, because like I said, the end goal is financial freedom.
Yeah.
Well, we learned over time that there's multiple ways to get there besides just real estate, and so now you start seeing all these different people doing different things. We interviewed them and saw their perspective on why they chose that route. We're like, man, that's a good idea. We can implement that to our own plans in our own our own financial freedom plan for ourselves, and we can maybe achieve it even faster. Yep. So that just comes with like you've been saying, just exposing yourself to more people through social media, because those connections are probably more abundant than what you would have in your like physical interactions.
Yes, exactly. And that's how everything I'm doing now is because of money monopolizers now, because it's like it's going to scale me a lot quicker now. And it's like, the trucking, the cleaning, all that stuff. It's because of seeing other people doing it. And so that's what I think people need to do, because you're going to form relationships and ties with these people that you see, and the information that they're exposing you to, man, it's a game changer. Last thing I'm going to say on that is that I think that's what gives people an advantage now. Like, you need to really take advantage of this, because in 10 years, and I've said this before, you're going to be competing against kids that are growing up with this all the time in their face. If you go to TikTok, there's literally people telling you and teaching people how to become millionaires. So, you're competing with that in a few years. Right now, you're competing against people that don't have that information. So that's what I want to say on that. But the next thing that I kind of wanted to talk about too was that whole, because I think this kind of course, ties into it too, is the dating aspect of the relationships, right? And how you should be navigating this to achieve financial freedom. This is something that I'm really big on. Obviously, Marlon knows this is, I call myself a relationship scholar, in the fact that I study this stuff, tremendously, because I'm a big believer in the fact that, number one, I'm humble enough to know I don't know enough in this aspect to go up and have successful, intimate dating relationships, because it's just, that's just not something I'm pertinent to. And nobody grows, you don't grow up just knowing this stuff. So to me, I think people need to study this stuff more. And so that's why I do that. But I think the thing about this whole dating life and the relationships that people have is different for men and women, right? To an extent, because I think that, and like I said, this is for people ages 18 to 24, 25, 26. I'm a big believer, and this is a new consensus I've come to, but I'm a big believer in the fact that, between the ages of age 18 to 24, I don't think men should be dating. I don't think you should be in a relationship. Most men should not be, because, and it's different for women, but I'll get into that in a minute. Because like I said, for men, you need to know what your purpose is in life, right? You need to know what your mission is in life. If you don't know what that is, and you don't know what, if you don't know what type of life you want to have, and you don't know what you want your life to look like, you don't know the type of woman that needs to be in your life, right? And I think we talked about this a little bit yesterday too, in terms of like knowing the type of woman that needs to be in your life, because everyone is different in the sense of like, everyone, there's a certain type of woman that's going to complement you best, right? And so for me, I know that for me, I know my type, my personality style, and my the way I like to do things, right? I'm a very kind of passionate person in everything that I do, and everything I do, I try to do it with passion and with fire, right? And in that podcast that I mentioned, they talked about the 4 personality types, which is, they say fire, which is like passion, and they say earth, which is like strong-minded, stubbornness kind of, and then they say water, which is like nonchalant, chill, and then you have air, which is just kind of go with the flow, right? And so for me, when they talked about this, I look at it and I say, okay, you need to be looking at your life and knowing the type of person you are. I know I'm a very fire type of person. I know I'm passionate with everything that I do. And you need to look at your friends, right? And see kind of, how do they do things? Are they passionate? Are they, go free spirit? Are they super nonchalant? Are they, just kind of do whatever? Or are they, what are they? Are they strong-minded, stubborn? And you need to look at your friends and see which one of those personality traits or which one of those friends you think you could mesh with best in terms of a relationship. Pause. But, in terms of like, if I was to look at my immediate circle, I know that the friends that I would best fit into a relationship, and let's just say living with, right? The friend who would I fit best with living with them? And for me, that's someone with the water type of personality, right? Because I'm very passionate, very fire. I know my one friend that is, and we talked about this. The friend that's closest to me in terms of the personality type, I can't live with him. I couldn't live with him. It would be a train wreck if I tried to live with him because we would be clashing all the time. He's fire, or he's like earth, but I'm fire, and that's not gonna work. I need someone that's kind of like nonchalant. They're more chill, and they won't kind of take it to a certain level. Because my whole thing is I might take it to a certain level if someone else takes it to a certain level. But if they don't take it to a certain level, I'm not going to take it to a certain level. And so for men, you really need to know what type of woman is going to complement you best. And so for me, I know that water type of woman is going to complement me. The reason this is important for financial freedom is because also the reason I say you shouldn't date when you're 18 and 24 is because you're changing between those ages a lot, and you don't know necessarily, you're growing and you're developing, and you don't know the type of woman that's going to kind of grow with you and will be the type of woman that you need to have when you're financially free. Yeah, you can grow with people, but that's a lot of pain and struggle and heartache that you can avoid if you just grow on your own. And then you find the woman that's already in that place. She's already what you need her to be. You don't have to go try to change her. You don't have to go try to do anything. You find her so I'm looking for the woman that's already in that position, a woman that is ambitious and goal oriented. And she's looking for that next thing because that motivates me. And I know my personality type. That is going to help me take it to another level. A woman is always going to help you. The right woman is going to help you take that thing to the next level that you need to take it to. And so for me, that's what I think young men need to be looking at. While you're on your purpose and leveling up, you should be looking to, you shouldn't really be looking at women. You should just be focusing on that and seeing what type of woman will complement you based off of your personality type and who's going to help you take it to that next level. So that's kind of how I think of it for men. I want to say real quick, for women, it's a little different because for women, I think women need to be focused a little bit on both because society values things differently for men and women. Society values men that have resources, and society values women that kind of, are they have, a high level of attraction, right? And so I'm not saying I do value beautiful women as well, but I'm saying like I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying it's right either, but that's just the reality. That's what society values. So as a woman, I think women need to also, you should be on your purpose, finding your mission as what being on your mission, but you need to be aware too, and this is, I don't want to get too deep into it because I want to let you kind of respond, but as a man can find a woman at any age in life. It's going to be a lot harder for a woman to try to find a man when she's a lot older and she has a career and all these things established because men just, you're not going to be in your prime for a man. Women hit their prime a lot earlier in terms of value to society. And this could sound really bad, but I'm just speaking real. In terms of value to society, women hit it a lot earlier than men. And men usually hit their prime once they're in their later years. Like, Will Smith, George Clooney, those dudes can go pull any woman. Man, there's so much I want to say on this, but I don't want to, I'm really trying not to offend nobody. But that's kind of how I think as a woman, you should kind of focus on both, dating and making sure that you are on that purpose because you see it all the time, 40-year-old women that are, they got all the money, they got all the career, they got all the status, but they're single. And now it's like they're having a hard time finding a man. But as a man, you're in the same position. Men do both all the time. It's no problem. It's easy. It's going to even be easier for you to find a woman. And that's the thing about for men too. Once you hit that age, you can find, once you're past 25, 26, you can easily find a woman if you're on your mission and your purpose and you're accomplishing things, man, because that's what women value. It's like men that are on their purpose and on their mission, and they're, they have resources and they're able to provide. If you focus on those things, the women will come to you. And I'm gonna be honest too, I've already seen that start to happen this year as opposed to the previous years. For me, it's a lot easier now to get women than it was even a year ago or 2 years ago. So that's what I want young men to focus on. That's kind of my very brief, very brief take. Because there's a lot I wanted to go into, but I want to let you kind of talk about it before this episode be 5 hours.
Yep, I knew that portion of this episode was gonna make it extend to an hour and a half. So it did exactly what I expected it to do. But I want to start off because I had to just write notes. I would never have kept up with all that. So first of all, I wanted just to say that I think humbleness was first of all the key in everything, because that really allows the most growth in anybody with any subject. If you humble yourself enough to say that you don't understand a subject, that's when you can really start scaling your knowledge base in that area, because what you'll find is that you'll go seek the information that you don't already know. Because if you claim that you already know something, you're going to be less adept to want to go learn about it because you feel like you already know it. I actually tell my mom that all the time. I always tell her, stop saying, "Oh, I already know this," because that's like one of her catchphrases almost. Girl, she says, "Girl, I already know," or "Boy, I already know that." So now that's pretty much shutting you down and saying, since I already know it, you don't need to tell me nothing about it because I got that figured out already, and you're not going to want to learn more about it. So I'm always trying to prompt her to say, don't say that, because you're pretty much shutting your brain down, saying you don't want to learn anymore. So I think it's always good to humble yourself and be willing to say you don't know it all, because that's when you go seek to learn more information about it. And so that was the first thing. And then from there, I think you started hitting on different points about like why you think that guys, or I guess people in general, shouldn't be dating too early. And
Guys.
Guys mainly, okay, of course. I see what you mean, because I do agree that girls mature much faster than what guys do. So they are going to hit their maturity level to be ready to receive, like to be ready to be with somebody else faster than a guy may. Because I think for most guys, they don't find their true purpose until they hit like their 20s or like early to mid 20s. So I can understand that perspective. I guess, huh? Oh yeah, even later, honestly, yeah, because like some people don't figure out until 30s, honestly.
Yeah.
So that is a very true statement. But with that, I guess it's different for everybody, just because some people are just willing to, it's not a one size fits all, I guess, because some guys will mature earlier and figure it out they may not figure out exactly what they want their life to look like, but they're willing to grow with somebody and figure it out together. So it's like a give and take with it. Like it's like an ideal way, and then there's other ways. Other ways may not be may not be like the end all be all or like detrimental to you, but it may not be the absolute best or ideal way of doing something. So you may give us, like for me, for instance, me and my girl started dating when we were 17 years old. And that was before even your age group you're talking about, 18 to 24. But I guess the things that you bond with when you are younger is something that may or may not be that same bond, like the same thing that keeps y'all together as you get older. Because when you get older, you start valuing different things. Now, whether that's going to be something that allows you to achieve financial freedom, that may be a whole different story. But I think in order to do that for a man, I think the main thing but I will say, before I even say that, it's different for everybody all the time. It's not a one size fits all. Everybody's going to have a different story to tell. But for a man, I think the biggest thing that they look for in a woman is going to be the support. Like if somebody who's going to support whatever endeavor that you're looking for, the best example I can use for anything is myself. My girl always is going to be somebody who says that whatever I want to do in life, she's gonna like be my biggest supporter and push me to wherever bound I can go to, just because she's always going to be that support system for me. She may not necessarily care about what I have to talk about in that business or in that investment opportunity, but she's going to be there and say that she's going to do whatever she can to support my decision making. And for me, that's enough for me to say that that's the person I want to be with, or that's the type of person that I would like to be with to help me grow in myself or whatever business adventure, or to try to achieve financial freedom or whatever it may be. For somebody else, that may not be enough. Maybe they want to they want their significant other to be an integral part in them growing. Like they want them to also be driven to achieve the same goals or some similar goal. That may be a thing for you, or I don't know. Maybe they don't care one way or another. Either way, like I said, it works different for everybody. I actually had something else though. Oh, I think you said something about like women don't find, well, like women are at their prime at an earlier age, and then at a later age they're not necessarily in a position to where they're going to be able to pull any man that they want to. I think that just like with differing values, like men want one thing versus women wanting another thing. I think you actually hit on it already. Like men are looking for that physical attraction on top of just like the what type of value they provide, whether it's monetary or things like that. Like they may not be looking for necessarily that businesswoman. They may be looking for a trophy wife even. Like, but I think it's really different for everybody because somebody's looking for a trophy wife, somebody's looking for a housewife, somebody's looking for the businesswoman, and so I can't really necessarily say that this will fit into to every young male's life in a sort of sense. But I do understand like your perspective on like saying like guys should probably like really focus on themselves before they start trying to focus on a significant other, just because of the fact that if you don't know yourself, you can't know necessarily who you want to be with when you grow up, or like who you need in order to elevate yourself, I guess.
I'm glad too, just to kind of comment on something you said too with the you mentioned trophy wife and the business kind of woman too. And I think every man really needs to know the type of woman that is going to complement him well, right? Because there's nothing wrong with, a woman being a trophy wife or, a businesswoman or a stay-at-home mom or the lover or the best friend, whatever, right? There's nothing wrong with that, because each of those styles of women will complement a different man, and there's a man for each of those type of women that's going to help that man succeed. Not saying that's the woman's role, but as a man, you need to know the type of woman. And that was the whole premise of this. You don't know that the type of woman that's going to fit in your life until you know your purpose and your mission in life, right? Until you're on that journey. Once you know that, now you can set up the future family structure so that she can thrive in that environment of what you went after her as, right? If you went after that business type of woman, then you already have set up a life for her to thrive in that. If you went after that housewife woman, then again, you'll have set up a life for her to thrive in that environment. And now you're not trying to go and find a woman and change her to be the type of woman that fits with the type of man that you now are, right? I say all this to say is that, when you find that right woman, it's going to make that journey to financial freedom, because I want to, bring this full circle. It'll make that journey to financial freedom a lot easier, right? Because the right woman is going to elevate you and take you to another level. Whatever that right woman looks like for you as an individual man, she's going to elevate you and take you to another level and help you actually, achieve financial freedom. If it's the right woman, not just any woman, it has to be the right woman. Because I think, let's be honest, with society, two separate things are valued in men and women. Men do not necessarily value, I think I'm different, but most men don't value a woman that is focused on her career, on her business, and on those things as much as they value a woman that is physically attractive, kind, sweet, agreeable, those kind of things, right? And women they don't value a man that's, feminine in a way of like, I'm focused on like this relationship and I'm focused on, all my attention is on you. They want a man that is on their mission, on their purpose, and is able to provide and, have resources. And so that's what I always see, just reality based. And so my whole thing with that whole conversation is that I want people to be aware of those things and act accordingly based on what you want in your life. So like you mentioned too, you need to know the type of woman that is going to fit with your life, or you need to know the type of woman that you want in your life. And it's going to change. It's those years between 18 and 24. I promise you. I even say it all the time. I'm so glad I didn't get into some of the relationships that I thought I wanted to get into when I was 21, because that would have been a train wreck, because those women don't fit into my life right now. And so I know the type of women, which, hey, if you're listening to this, you can hit me in the DMs and we could see.
Go through the interview process and see if you're a good fit.
Hey, I'm just saying. So, but I already know that's just, at this point, any woman that comes to me, it's like, I'm just putting you through the, my criteria. And if you don't fit my criteria, then hey, come on. And we ain't got really much to talk about. So, that's kind of my take on that. So when we look at, obviously this relationship aspect and that communal aspect, right? It's just based off of, the reason I want to talk about that first is because it was kind of the external stuff that's more so out of your control, right? So, your friends and your intimate dating relationships, that kind of stuff, you can't necessarily control. And that's not necessarily it's a part of your purpose, but it's an accessory to your purpose. Right. And so with this, like I said, everyone listening to this is financial freedom based. If your purpose is financial freedom, that's what we're talking about. And so the other aspect of that is, of course, the anecdotal aspect, or the aspect that is just applicable to you. And that is the financial aspect of financial freedom, obviously. And so we kind of want to touch on that, too, for a little bit before we ended this podcast, too. And, that whole aspect of being on your purpose, being on your mission being on that mission to reach financial freedom. So let's talk about that financial aspect. So the first thing that I kind of wanted to touch on with that is, and we've talked about this many times, that's why I wanted to start with the other aspect first, is the whole, obviously living below your means and spending less than you earn. And this is, one of the biggest principles to reaching financial freedom. I literally, just put out a video on Sunday. If you're listening to this on Thursday, it just came out on Sunday about these principles to financial freedom. And this was one of them, is living below your means, spending less than you earn. Because what happens is, between those ages of 18 and 24, a lot of people are in a mentality of, spend everything they get. And I just want to impress everybody around me. I want to show people that I'm rich, even though they don't care, right? And so a lot of people get into that habit of lifestyle or income creep, in terms of, as soon as you get any type of money, you're going to spend it. The most money you can get, or the most that you can spend in that aspect. And so this is super key, because if you want to achieve financial freedom, you have to keep your lifestyle expenses low. For two reasons. Number one, because it's going to allow you to have more money to invest, right? Which is what you need to do to achieve financial freedom, obviously. If you're new to us, then, welcome. But that's what we talk about all the time. You had to be investing your excess money to achieve financial freedom. And number two is because the lower you're spending the less money you spend every month, the easier it'll be to achieve financial freedom, right? The lower your monthly expenses are, the easier it'll be to achieve that financial freedom number, right? Because if I only need $2,000 a month to live, I can achieve financial freedom once I'm at $2,001 per month in cash flow, right? Because that's all I need. But if I needed $10,000 a month to live, because I've inflated my lifestyle, because as soon as I got a raise at my job, I went and bought the new Audi A8. As soon as I, got another raise, I went and bought Gucci belts and, Balenciaga shoes. As soon as I got another raise, I went and got the, $2,500 a month apartment. This is in Texas. So if you're listening to that elsewhere, you're probably like, I wish I could have $100 a month. But, keeping that lifestyle low is key, because it's going to help you achieve financial freedom a lot sooner and a lot easier. For me, if we're being honest, I can be transparent about it. How much money do I need a month? Realistically speaking, a little under $1,000 a month. If we be honest, that's all I need to live, and that's with cushion. So anything I make beyond that is getting invested. So theoretically, if I had $1,000 a month in cash flow or passive income, which with all the businesses, I'm just about at that point. you could say I'm financially free. I don't want to be at that point and say that that's I'm good. I've achieved financial freedom. $1,000. No, for me, financial freedom is $10K a month. That's what I want because that's a certain lifestyle I want to live once I'm 28, and that's just with one business. My other businesses total I want $50K a month, but generally speaking, that's how I want that one to look. So that's just my take on that aspect of why you need to be living below your means. That's the very first principle.
Yeah, I like this topic already just because this is like one of my favorite topics to talk about is living below your means. And it always is synonymous with delayed gratification. But I think it all starts with, I guess, having a plan in mind, because I thought of like having a plan or a goal in mind of where you want to achieve, because without that, I think that you're not necessarily going to be structural. You're not gonna have any structure with how you spend your money because you have no ultimate goal for your money in the first place. And I thought about there's a video that you had posted a long time ago when our when Money Monopolizers first started. You had posted a video from Oprah. She talked about the tile theory, I guess, where every time she incremented her income, she incremented the quality of tile that she would purchase for her home. And that's what people do with every aspect of their life. They do that with cars. They do it with food. I've seen my cousin actually did it with food when he first got his income. Like I think he was like 18 or 19 years old when he got his first job, and he went from buying McDonald's to buying soul food. That's just what people do because his income increased from zero to like $200 every other week. It's like, oh man, I can afford something better now. And I think for people that's in the age group that we're talking to, this is their first time that they're actually being able to have a job or have some form of income. So they were all before this, they were seeing what they could, or like what people could achieve with money, or like what they could have with money. So they've seen material things that people are posting on Instagram or Twitter or whatever. They see like the new car, the new Audi, the new shoes, whatever. They're seeing those things, and so that's their ultimate goal. This is like their version of success is acquiring these type of expenses or these liabilities as we consider them, but those are like the token prizes for them. So that's why when they get their money, they're going straight to buying those objects, those things that they saw other people had that they wanted. Now they have the opportunity to get it because they have the income. The problem is that nobody ever taught them that they could have these things rather than the things having them. So they buy the Audi, but what they don't know is that they have to make these payments on it every month, and that's going to keep them in this what we call the rat race, to keep them having to go work in order to pay for that liability. That's something that hasn't been taught enough. So that's where we come in. That's where all of these different people that we bring on that we bring on the podcast come in and play, and show them that the proper way to acquire these expenses, or to acquire the things that they want in their life. If you would take your money, that goes back to delayed gratification. If you are willing to save and invest your money early on, like for you, for instance, you've said you've hit your goal of financial freedom already just at like $1,000 a month. That'd be cool for most people. But the problem is that, well, the difference between you and other people is that you have a dream life plan that you're trying to be able to support and finance. So $10,000 a month is your dream life. That's what you're trying to achieve in order to 50. I thought you said 10. My bad. $50,000 a month is what you consider like your dream life financial freedom. That's where you'll be able to pay for all of your expenses when you have all the expenses that you want. So you have however many cars you want, whatever house you want, and whatever other lifestyle, travel, whatever expenses that you want as well, and still be able to live comfortably. Most people are not planning like that. So they plan for that one car expense. They say that their income is $1,000 a month. The car costs $500. It should be a no brainer that I should be able to afford it. Yeah. But that's just like the minimalistic thinking, I guess. Like you had to be able to think and dream bigger than where you're currently at in order to try to achieve more. And I think that's the first step, is really just trying to is pretty much setting a goal for yourself. Without that goal, I think you're never going to do more, because you're just accustomed to what everybody else is doing around you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really really key, because that is going to obviously, like, if you can't even keep your lifestyle low right now when you are making small amount of money, like if you're literally going to increase everything, the quality of everything, as soon as you make any amount of money, you're never going to get financial freedom. That's a pipe dream. Good luck. So yeah, that's super key. And I think one thing that is a theme of all that is the whole debt concept, and using all that, because what happens is people will increase their income, and now they think, okay, I can go buy this new car or whatever the case may be, but you can't even afford. And I'm a believer in the fact, if you can't, to an extent, on bad debt, if you can't buy it in cash, you shouldn't be buying it, right? Because you can. People say, "Oh, I can," I just got a raise in my job. I can afford this new Audi. Yay! No, you can't. You can afford the payment.
Right.
You can afford $500, $600, $700 a month. Maybe you can't even afford that.
So it's examples of bad debt then, so that people can have a clearer picture of that.
So obviously, like, we talk about all the time, right? The car that you drive yourself and you are the last to consume, that's bad debt, right? If you're the last to consume anything, it's bad debt. And if two things, if you're the last to consume it and you're paying for it, it's bad debt, because it's not helping you to achieve financial freedom in any way, or it's not helping you increase their bottom line, which is your cash flow, right? Another example of bad debt is the house that you live in too right now. If you're paying for that house with your 9 to 5 slavery dividend, then you and you're the only, or your family's living in there and you're the last person to consume it, you're not renting it out or anything, that's again bad debt. I say it all the time too. Your house is an asset, but the mortgage on the house is a liability unless someone else is paying for it. And that's a whole nother conversation of good debt versus bad debt. Good debt is any debt in which if you incur it, you can you're making money off of that, having that debt, right? It allows you to finance assets. Bad debt allows you to buy things you can't afford, but things that you want, which are liabilities. Liabilities, and this is money monopolizers 101. Liabilities take money out your pocket. Assets put money in your pocket, right? If you're new to us, welcome. That's what we talk about all the time. And so people, you really need to be aware of that when you are on this journey to financial freedom, and on your purpose, and on this mission. Your mission and your purpose is financial freedom. So any decision that you make needs to align with that mission and that purpose.
I know there's going to be a naysayer out there somewhere, because they're going to be listening to every word you said. You told them that if you can't pay for a bad debt in cash, if you can't pay for something that's considered bad debt in cash, you shouldn't pay for it, or you shouldn't buy it. So what do you say for the people who are wondering how to get a house if you consider it bad debt? I need to have enough money to pay for it in cash?
Of course, you need to be house hacking, right? This is, this is Money Monopolizers 101. If you're new, welcome. I'm gonna keep saying that. This is like, the simplest thing that you could do is my house hacking. Essentially, if you are new, house hacking is whenever you buy a property, you live in either one unit and you rent out the other side, or you live in one bedroom, whatever, and you rent out the bedroom so that someone else is paying for the liability, which is the mortgage, right? Obviously, like I said, house is an asset, mortgage is a liability. Someone needs to be paying for it. You can have someone else pay for your housing, right? And that's why house hacking is so dope too, because you are the last to consume it and someone else gets to pay for it. So you get to win on both ends. So yes.
This is key with, like, as far as being able to save the money that you currently are making, because right now the income that you're making from your 9 to 5, I'm assuming that most people are working some type of early on 9 to 5 in their career, and so let's say you're making, I'll just say $2,000 a month, and typically somebody's income is somebody's housing expense is gonna be 30 to 50% of their monthly income. That's just like a general rule of thumb that I've heard quite a few times, and I've seen it actually in application before. And so now, if you can save that large chunk of money per month, you'll be positioning yourself in order to achieve financial freedom at a very early age if you're utilizing the saved money correctly. And so that's one big benefit of house hacking, is that you're able to save the money that you would normally be putting toward your housing, which is your biggest monthly expense. So yes, I agree with that 100%. Same thing with other liabilities that you mentioned, such as like buying that brand new Audi, brand new Mercedes, whatever you want to call it. If you're buying those are going to be probably second, third on your list as far as the order of largest monthly expenses to lowest. That's probably going to be the second or third highest. So if you can eliminate two of the top three, you're definitely positioning yourself to be able to achieve early financial freedom. If you're, like I said, if you're utilizing the money that you're saving in order to build investments or increase your income in a way. But I want to say that this is because I always consider there's a defensive and an offensive strategy to building wealth. The defensive is saving money. So this is like what we're talking about here is avoiding bad debt. And then there's the offensive method, which is increasing your income. And I think that people have different personality types when it comes to this. Some people, like I would consider my parents, for instance. My dad, he's the defensive player. He's going to save every last nickel and dime that he can. When he goes to purchase a car, he's going to be negotiating for 15 hours. Like I'm telling you, we bought a rental car just recently, and he was gun-ho on like going from one dealership to another, trying to get the best deal possible. That's the defensive players. Offensive players are my mom. They're the ones that's trying to increase their income. They're looking for multiple streams of income. That's us actually as well. We're looking for multiple streams of income. I think, but it really comes all together if you're able to do both. If you're able to house hack, which is saving money, and build multiple streams, now that's early financial freedom type of activity right there. So that's kind of my perspective when it comes to like the defense of avoiding bad debt or saving money. That's all. I see all that as like synonymous with each other.
Yeah, and you look. The thing is too with all this, we're not just saying this to say for fun. This is stuff we put into application, and so you need to have more. It's not even an option, right? It's not even like we're not even suggesting you have multiple streams of income. I'm not saying, hey, you should get. No, I'm telling you, you need to have multiple streams of income. It's not a. I'm not asking you. I'm telling you.
It's not a suggestion.
Yeah, I'm not saying, hey, do you want to? No, I'm telling you, you need multiple streams of income because one is too close to none, right? We say it all the time. And so when you have multiple streams of income, you look, and it's not a coincidence too that millionaires, besides those that are entrepreneurs, besides those that are athletes, entertainers, they do not rely on one stream of income. Like, there's a reason. How many millionaires do you know? I mean, actually, side note, most people don't know. Most people, you won't even recognize a millionaire because most millionaires live below their means, so much so that you wouldn't even know that they're millionaires. Go read The Millionaire Next Door.
Yep, that's what I was thinking too.
So, a lot of millionaires, they have multiple streams of income though. And it's not a coincidence that many of them, if you look, they don't even work jobs, right? Because they have multiple streams. They might be a business owner, and that could be what they consider their quasi job, but they don't necessarily have a role in where they're sitting in a cubicle, right? They're not trading in their time for money. They're leveraging other people and other people's time, other people's money to make sure that they create more money. So and the thing about it is that's just the name of the game. It used to be a luxury back in the day to have multiple streams of income, right? But today that's mandatory. In 2020, moving forward in this day and age where you can make money off of an iPhone, off of a Android or any phone that you have, with the internet, man, there's no excuse not to be making money. It's inexcusable. If you are not working towards leveraging the internet to make money, or even starting an online business or anything outside of your 9-to-5 job, it's not going to happen. And the reason this is important is because, and I'm going to kind of say this before we wrap it up. The reason this is important is because you have to be, you can't focus on saving. You can't budget and save your way to financial freedom. Budgeting, that cutting that $5 cup of coffee or your $14 a month Netflix, or your whatever thing that you like to enjoy, that's not going to help you. That's only hurting you from achieving financial freedom. At least, bro, enjoy your life, but focus on increasing your income. That is the key. You need to have multiple streams of income. At this point, I think I have 7 right now that consistently bring in money, because that's the name of the game. Right now, I'm just building them up until they're going to accumulate to the point where they're all going to be making me $50K a month when I can have my dream life. And that's what I'm working for. So that's what I think people need to know and people need to focus on in terms of the financial aspect of navigating to finance. Those are the most important things I would say in terms of focusing on. Everything else is kind of a complement to that. But man, we touched on a lot here in this episode. I think we touched on the relationship aspect, the friends, the dating, and why that's important and how to navigate that. You got to understand this is the beginning stuff that you need to be focusing on. Like this is the most important stuff in the beginning. Don't try to focus on outsourcing things and building a business to $10,000 and all that stuff. No, focus on these things first, right? Your relationships and your finances. Focus on those two things, and making sure that they align with how they need to align in order for you to reach financial freedom too. So don't be afraid to cut out anyone out of your life that doesn't necessarily fit your purpose or your journey anymore. That's natural. That's part of growth and evolution. So if someone's not leveling up along with you, they might not be best they might not be best suited to be in your circle anymore. So definitely key to remember. I hope y'all got a ton of value from this one. Not sure how long it ended up being, but it was a good episode nonetheless. So yes. Anyways, that is it for this episode of the Money Monopolizers podcast. New episodes will be released every Thursday and will be available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Just search Money Monopolizers wherever you listen to podcasts. We hope you enjoyed this one, and we hope I forgot what I was going to say.
Learn something of value today.
Yeah, we hope you enjoyed this one, and we hope you learned something of value today. If you did, we'd appreciate it if you rated us 5 stars and left us a review on Apple Podcasts. You can find out more info about us on Twitter at the Monopolizers or on Instagram at Money Monopolizers. We post informative content on there that'll keep you engaged, so be sure to check that out and share those posts. We're also posting on YouTube, so definitely go subscribe on YouTube, and new videos are releasing every week on there that we're covering a lot of the basic concepts, so I'll go check that out as well. And we'll see y'all in the next one.
You've been listening to the Money Monopolizers podcast, helping you take control of your financial destiny. To learn more about how you can be in control of your money, visit moneymonopolizers.com. We'll catch you next time when Alex and Marlon share more personal finance and wealth creation tips with you. Now it's time to take action.